As someone who considers themselves a fan of professional sports culture, I have always been interested in the idea of boom or bust culture when it comes to collegiate athletes. I am a huge fan of the National Basketball Association, better known as the NBA, and we've seen our fair share of busts throughout the last, let's say, 15 to 20 years. The Philadelphia 76ers is a franchise that is synonymous with its first round and even first pick of the first round busts. Markelle Fultz and Ben Simmons being the biggest perpetrators of this archetype, being drafted first round in the first pick, being expected to come in and take over the entire league, take it by storm and become superstars, only to fall short of those expectations and eventually fall out of the league in general. There are so many busts to come out of the NBA draft, like for example, BYU March Madness standout Jimmer Fredette, who never really found a footing in the NBA. Adam Morrison, one of the first high-touted prospects to come out of Gonzaga University, who, even though he won an NBA championship with the Los Angeles Lakers, absolutely sucked in the NBA. Here's a name you haven't heard in years: Sebastian Telfair, who in my opinion I hold solely responsible for the NBA deciding that players couldn't come out of high school anymore. That's how bad he was in the NBA. Kwame Brown, Greg Oden, just to name a few more. But the thing about football, specifically the quarterback position in football, they get a lot of chances. Of course, there's players like Johnny Manziel, who burns bridges very early within his NFL career and never recovers. But for every Johnny Manziel, there's a Zach Wilson who spends 5 to 6 seasons trying to find his footing. There's a Baker Mayfield who spends a chunk of his NFL career as a bottom 5 quarterback just to find the right squad and become one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. He is a MVP candidate as we speak. So when I heard of a new film being produced by modern horror juggernaut Jordan Peele about a highly touted collegiate quarterback being taken under the wing by this universe's Tom Brady, starred by Marlon Wayans, and then you watch the trailer and you realize that this movie is gonna mix sport and horror elements, and that this highly touted prospect in the professional sports league of this universe is getting himself into some shit that he can't come back from, and that the man that takes him under his wing, well, he might not have his best interests at heart. Here enters Him, a sports horror flick that follows Cameron Cade, a highly touted quarterback prospect who's attacked and injured days before the draft. Cameron, who goes by Cam, is feeling the pressure from his family members, his closest friends, his girlfriend. But even though Cameron is unable to participate in the draft's combine, he is still taken under wing by, like I said, this universe's greatest of all time. Think Tom Brady mixed with Cam Newton, and I'm only saying that because he's black. Isaiah Zay White, played by, like I said, comedic icon Marlon Wayans. We follow as Isaiah puts Cameron through a week-long boot camp to see if he is worthy of taking his spot on the team that he won 8 championships for. But the farther we get through the movie and the more we get through this fictional hell week, we realize that there's something far more sinister going on with this relationship between Cameron and Isaiah. Whether it's the subtly brilliant way this movie handles subjects like CTE or doping in professional sports, or the way the film handles parasocial stand culture, especially when it comes to the debate of who's the greatest of all time, regardless of what sport it is. With that being said, I do want to give a shout out to Tyreek Withers, who plays Cameron Cade in this film. He's a perfect leading man, and there's a lot of potential there with him playing in that role. I also want to shout out one of my favorite actors of all time, Marlon Wayans, who plays Isaiah White White perfectly as the disgruntled, desperate vet grasping at his last chance of domination. I mean, I am 100% dead ass when I say that he puts on a career-defining performance in this film. And when I speak so highly about the performances, and I'll also speak highly about the cinematography on this film, that is fucking amazing, you would think that this film is perfect. And it almost is. But there are some problems. I know that you've probably been beaten to hell and back with the discourse surrounding this movie's third act and ending. But after watching the alternative or original, I don't really know, but after watching the alternative ending of this film, I'm sorry, I can't sit here and ignore the big elephant in the room that is the ending of this film. Of course, the original ending of the film sees Cameron Cade put in the dead smack middle of a fight to the death, winner takes all blood ritual with Isaiah White. Isaiah transfers his blood into Cameron and pretty much tells him, if you want to be the greatest of all time, if you want to take my spot on this team that I've won 8 championships for, you're pretty much gonna have to kill me. And Cameron does it. He kills Isaiah White. Now, if you've seen the ending of this film and you've seen the alternative ending of this film, you can pretty much agree that the alternative ending is 10 times better. The alternative ending just makes so much more sense. After defeating Isaiah, Cameron goes on to have an illustrious professional football career at the quarterback position and is constantly reminded that, hey, the only reason that you're this successful is that your dad made a deal with the devil, and hey, the devil is coming to collect. You just don't know when. It's eerie like that. That is a 10 times more eerie and satisfying ending than having Cameron defeat all of that in 5 minutes in this super gory action scene that doesn't make sense whatsoever. I mean, listen, majority of this film is phenomenal. The way it depicts pre-draft nerves, the way that this film incorporates secret societies, the Illuminati in the film, this is what I expected. I expected to be this good at doing these things, but the ending just falls flat on its face. The ending where the quote-unquote good guy defeats the big bad secret society and goes on to live his own life outside of football just doesn't work for this film. Especially seeing that Cameron's body count racks up throughout the film's runtime. Cameron is not this innocent prospect throughout this entire film that just doesn't know what's going on. He understands. When asked what he's willing to sacrifice, he says everything. There's a scene in this film where Cameron essentially murders a man through intentional helmet-to-helmet contact. And you're just expecting me to believe that he's just not with the shits at all, and he's not willing to sacrifice his soul after killing about 4 or 5 more people throughout the film's runtime. The alternative ending sees Cameron Cade at the top of the world, the top of his profession, the best football player on earth. But it constantly reminds him that even though your father sold your soul, you sacrificed yourself. I haven't watched Dead Meat's kill counts in a while, but even without the original ending, Cameron Cade kills at least 3 people throughout this film. The original ending of this film gives him a cop-out. It allows him to kill the big bad, which is the commissioner or the team's owner. But the alternative ending reminds him that he's exactly where he needs to be. He's exactly where he's meant to be. How do y'all feel about this film? I enjoyed it, even though the ending is pretty ass, but how do y'all feel? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you're new, like, comment, subscribe to the kid. Join the family. We're on the road to 3K subscribers. My name is Micah Clark. I am Milk. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.